Welcome back to the Non-Commissioned Rascals channel, where we are your unofficial sponsors. Today we're going to film part 2 of Sea Life Park, so follow along and we're going to head on in.
What time is it? It's in the ocean. Hawaiian Monk Seal.
Aloha everyone! Here at Sea Life Park, and I would like to welcome you and thank you for joining me here at our Hawaiian Monk Seal habitat. You guys don't have to look at me, you can look at the monk seal in front of you. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about him. I did not bring my mic today, so if you guys can't hear me, nice, that's really awesome. There is only 1,400 individuals out there in the wild, so actually seeing a Hawaiian monk seal outside is pretty awesome. There's actually only 300 out there in the main Hawaiian chain as well, so it's pretty rare. Has anybody ever seen a Hawaiian monk seal, or actually two of them at once? Yeah? Well, that is even more rare, and I'm going to tell you why. So Kekko here is alone. And a lot of people wonder, well, isn't he lonely? And he's actually not, because Hawaiian monk seals get their name from their monk-like or solitary lifestyle. So Hawaiian monk seals actually prefer to be alone. So if you did see, what did he say? But if you did see two monk seals ever together, it's a high likely that it was a mom and a pup, because they do nurse together. Or it's two monk seals that like the same beach, not each other. But Hawaiian monk seals are actually, they scavenge for their food, and they spend most of their time in the water. So when you do see one out there beached, it's also a pretty rarity. They are kind of lazy animals though, so they do like to bask out there in the sun. But when they are in the water, they are exploratory feeders, so they're down searching in the rocks for some food. They eat a lot of different things like eels, crustaceans, and a lot of different reef fish. They can also dive for a pretty long time, up to 20 minutes they can hold their breath. That's a pretty long time, right? Because dolphins can actually only hold their breath for 8 to 10 minutes. So these guys are under the water a lot longer even than dolphins. And they use their little vibrissae or whiskers to search in those cracks and rocks to be able to find their food. And they're pretty good at finding that as well. Alrighty, now let's talk a little bit about Kekko here. Kekko was born in 2002 around Kuri Atoll. He would have spent 5 to 6 weeks nursing off of his mother, and during this time he would have gained up to 140 pounds. A lot of weight, right? In a small amount of time. And then his mom would have said, okay, that's enough interaction for me, and she would have sent him off into the wild. He would have had enough instincts to then be able to fend for himself. He would have learned on his own how to catch his own prey. He would have learned also how to defend himself. When he got into his sub-adult years, he would have started participating in an event where a lot of other younger males do. It's where they will typically harass or degrade other younger monk seals. They will also practice mating behaviors, and this is a big reason because there is a low ratio from females to males. So for every one female, there are 3 males. And their mating behavior is kind of aggressive, and so they they tend to practice these behaviors on other younger males before they do practice with a female, since there is not very many of them out there in the wild. And this can be pretty aggressive, and it can be detrimental to the population if this behavior were to extend longer than the time it does. But thankfully, these young males do grow out of it pretty quickly. They figure out what they're doing, and nothing ever happens usually. If they do cause a little bit of problems to their victims, but nothing really detrimental. However, Kekko here did continue this behavior into his adult years. So in 2011, it's when researchers did realize that he was starting to do these behaviors, and they became more aggressive the years following. And so in 2012, researchers actually intervened so that he could not harm any younger pups anymore. And this is when they took him out of the wild and brought him into human care. And this really started a new life for Kekko here. He's actually very friendly towards humans, very different from his wild counterpart behavior. And he actually enjoys being in human care and around humans, which is pretty rare for Hawaiian monk seals since they do like to be in their solitary lifestyle. So Kekko was sent to Waikiki Aquarium. Has anybody ever been there? It's cool, right? Yeah. But he actually spent some time there. And then he was actually sent to the University of California, where he attended college. He's a smart boy. But he actually participated in a lot of research over there. Hawaiian monk seals are an endangered species. There's only 1,400 left. We do not know much about these animals, and it's very hard to get our hands on a Hawaiian monk seal because you can't just take one out of the ocean, right? So him being unreleasable was actually really great for this. They did some research on their hearing, the sounds they make, and also their metabolic rate of resting versus molting. Now, anybody here, you can yell it out loud. Do you guys know what molting is? Molting?
Shedding?
Well, snakes molt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, he molts. Yeah. So he loses his entire layer of epidermis with all the hair attached. You can actually find Hawaiian monk seal pelts along the beach. Yeah, so this is really interesting, right? So that's why researchers really wanted to research this. And so they did, and it's really great. We know a lot of more information on Hawaiian monk seals so that we can better protect them out there in the wild. So after a few years, Kekko did graduate, like I said, smart boy, and then he was able to retire here back in the Hawaiian Islands, where he joined our Sea Life Park Ohana to be able to teach everybody else about what Hawaiian monk seals do have to go through, and that they don't have it so easy out there. Now, can everybody kind of see him? Do you guys see any like markings on his back?
No.
Yes, no? No, you don't see any?
We don't see him.
You don't see him? Oh no, is he
He just
underwater?
yeah, he's
Oh,
fine.
I see him.
there he is. You see those little markings, kind of?
Yes, I see him.
So, a lot of his markings on his back are from cookie cutter sharks. Does anybody know what those are?
I know.
What is a cookie cutter shark? I heard someone say I know. What is it? Do you know what a cookie cutter is?
Regular.
No? Anybody know what a cookie cutter is? Yeah, cuts a cookie, right? So cookie cutter sharks are nasty. You do not want to see them. It's a good thing nobody knows what they are. Basically, they use their teeth to cut into their victim, they twist, and they pull out a chunk of like flesh. Yeah, so those are a lot of his markings on his back. He also has a really big tiger shark cut on his stomach. And then he also has a lot of other markings. We're not exactly sure what they're from, but it's a high probability it's from human interaction. And what I mean by this is boat propellers and fishing lines and plastic. We do pollute their homes. Also scratches from dogs. When monk seals do lay out on the beach, they are in a highly vulnerable position. So humans could bother them as well as dogs. So some ways that we can really help Hawaiian monk seals is to leave our distance from them. They're solitary creatures. They would rather not deal with us. If they would have a beach all to themselves, they probably would. But if you do see a Hawaiian monk seal out there in the wild, there's a few things you could do. First off, make sure you keep that distance. I like to say the rule of thumb. If you stick out your thumb and close one eyeball, and then you try to put that thumb over the monk seal. If you cannot put your thumb over that Hawaiian monk seal, it means you're too close. So back it up. Also, you can call NOAA or the Hawaiian Marine Animal Response. They will send out a volunteer to make sure nobody else is too close to that monk seal. But thankfully, you guys do get to see Kekko up and close. He is only one of 3 and Hawaiian monk seals in human care, so it's pretty rare as well. You guys are really close up and personal area of an animal that can tend to be aggressive. but he is more friendly towards humans. Alrighty guys, but thank you so much for joining me. If you have any other questions, I would love to answer them. Sorry for the yelling again. I hope you guys got to hear me. But yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so you're gonna go up this way, and it's going to be, you're gonna see some buildings. Yeah, not this big building. It's gonna be up that way.
I saw the bird on shark.
Yeah, right?
We have shark shooting.
We do have sharks.
Wait, they have sharks.
Yes. I know, bub. I think it's closed down for right now. For renovation.
Ready?
Welcome to our shark feeding. My name is Allie, and feeding our sharks today we have Jesse. So at this moment, I want to invite the first 3 rows on stage. We have our stairs located on the right side of the pool. If you guys can make your way up at this time would be perfect. So the first 3 rows, you guys can come on and make your way up on stage if you guys want to get a better view of the shark feeding. So I will be inviting the rest of the rows in a couple minutes. We just want to make sure everyone has enough space and room to see the shark feeding. And then for the folks who are on stage, so we have a red line on the bottom around the pool. If you guys can stay behind the red line at all times, that would be great. Thank you. So in this exhibit, we have 4 white-tipped reef sharks. They were actually born here at Sea Life Park. Their mothers can be found in our shark cage, which unfortunately is going through reconstruction, so it is not open at this moment. These sharks were born in 2015, and there are other sharks that were born in 2017. So there are about 5 and 7-year-old sharks in here. All of our sharks in here are males, and we know that because they have 2 fins on their underside that are called claspers. So females do not have these fins. That's how we're able to identify male versus female. So this is actually also true for other shark and ray species. So if you guys notice Jessie, who is feeding our sharks today, you guys will notice she is using a pole to feed our sharks. So the reason why we do this is because we want the sharks to associate the pool with food. As aquarists, we do enter the pool to do maintenance. So when we're in here, we simply want the sharks to ignore us and not associate us with food. What we offer them consists of shrimp, squid, and several types of fish, like capelin, herring, sardines, mackerel, pinfish, and finger mullet. Their preferences can change from day to day, just like us. White-tip reef sharks can go days, a week, and even a month without eating. I would be extremely surprised if anyone here can go a month without eating. So every morning we do prepare their food. We try to weigh out each individual piece. That way we're able to record how much each shark is eating every single day. aquariums, we're also responsible of being able to identify and distinguish the sharks from one another. We do that by looking at some of their markings that they have on their body. So some of these sharks will have individual spots along their body. They also have some dots on their dorsal fin. That's how we're able to tell the sharks apart from each other. The easiest shark in here is Richie. He's the smallest, most petite shark in here. Pretty easy to tell apart from everyone else. Our biggest shark in here, his name is Brian. Not really sure why we named him Brian, but he looked like a Brian to us. We also have Two-Tone and Notch. So Two-Tone is also pretty easy to tell. In his dorsal fin, he has a two coloration of gray. So the dorsal fin is the fin on their back. Alright guys, at this moment, I'm going to ask the people on stage to make their way down. That way we can allow the other folks to make their way up to see our shark feeding. And if we want to have the next 3 rows line up, wait for everyone to make their way down. And once everyone has exited this... You guys may notice that these sharks have pretty elongated heads. So they use this feature to be able to get in between the crevices of reef. You guys may wonder what would happen if I accidentally fell in the pool right now. Well, first thing is you guys are going to scare away the sharks. They're more scared of us than we are of them. Secondly, if you guys notice their food size, it's really, really small. Their teeth are also extremely small. So think about the size of a rice grain. That is how tiny their teeth are. So here in Hawaii, what we call our shark is mano. And white-tip reef sharks, we call them mano walakia, which means white-tip. So just like we have white-tip reef sharks, we also have black-tip reef sharks. The difference there is that their dorsal fin is black, versus these guys have the white tip on their dorsal fin. Another interesting thing about these guys is that they don't need to be continuously swimming to be able to breathe through their gills. So they have a special feature in their gills that allows them to pump water while they are breastfeeding. This is called buccal pumping. So these sharks are pretty lazy because they have that feature. They don't need to be continuously swimming. Alright, if we could have the last group start lining up at this time. And for the people who stayed, if you guys want to make your way down to allow our Rascals to make their way up.
How was it, Jaden?
Alright, Sea Life Park is super awesome. We had a blast. Make sure you check out all of our videos. We split it up into several different ones because there is so much to see here. And be sure to tune in next time for more exciting adventures around the islands of Oahu, because we want you to be in the know everywhere we go.
Like, share, subscribe. Non-commissioned Rascals out.